GM, 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 GM. So, trade of the day, obviously, we're going to look at Ethereum. And what do I expect to see here? For me, there's a couple of different paths, right? So, we're looking at equivalent news events. I think if Ethereum takes out those levels and chops sideways like this without much strength, that's probably where you're going to see it fill in and fall back into this area, retrace the whole thing, and then continue higher later on. Right, that'd be like one path where the initial news gets hyped up, people get themselves too long in this area, they get flushed out, and then we go again. If Ethereum's going to continue from here, what you want to see is the 4-hour bands holding in an upwards sloping fashion. So probably pushes higher, drops back, maybe has some consolidation below, hits the bands, higher, higher, higher. And then that's where you see it actually make a break towards new highs. These are probably the two most likely paths I see. Should really mark that one in green, mark this one in sort of, I'll keep that one in blue. There's obviously a red path where, let's say there's an actual rejection. Well, you're going to see it just fall straight down, probably go even lower, and then bottom out down here. I do think even with the rejection, the bottom will probably come at that area, depending on what the rejection reason is. So there's one path. You can keep an eye on that one. And then here's the other two. The other two that I think are most likely. So what you're looking at are the 4-hour bands. If you're looking for an entry, you want to see the 4-hour bands. If ETH is going to remain bullish, it'll probably hug that 4-hour trend all the way, and it'll go up, 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 and then boom, away it goes for the highs. If it tries to push higher and it drops back and it goes more sideways, right? So instead of upward sloping, you see sideways, then that's when you expect the down move. Anything sideways, expect down. Anything upward sloping, expect higher. So I would have those as rough paths and then frame your trades around that with your entries, whether you want to take swing trades or you want to trade, the opposite moves. And the best example of this, we have price action's not going to repeat. It never does. It's never going to repeat exactly. But if you're looking at, I can't use that one. I don't have any things on that. Let me go BTC. You'll see two different paths here for BTC. When we had the first announcement, Bitcoin had a move up off the BlackRock announcement that did not lead to immediate continuation, right? So I think you want to compare. Remember, don't expect it to play out the exact same, but to compare, you'll see this. Give me 1 second. We'll just put on the 1221 bands and the 50. Here we are. So if it's going to retrace the whole move, this is what I mean by sideways, right? So currently, Bitcoin and Ethereum, pre the big announcement, pretty similar structures. Grind off the lows, consolidate, boom. Grind off the lows, consolidate, boom. Now this one immediately went into a sideways distribution top. Now at all of this, on this side, you didn't have to be bearish Bitcoin. Once it started breaking, the band's red, failing at the 50, trying to get back above, falling back over, that's when you're like, okay, this thing's going to unwind. Right? That's like the path I mentioned. Blue path. Something similar to that. Remember, it won't look the same. Similar. If it's going to be the up, well, you know what we're looking at? We're looking at something like this. Right? You've had your big move. Any fallback you have holds the 4-hour bands, and we trend up on the 4-hour bands. Or, similar to what we saw in October, it breaks out, and again, holds the 4-hour bands, upward sloping, keeps making highs, highs, highs. Even though the bands went red here, it was after Bitcoin broke out, pushed higher. Broke out, pushed higher. You can see when you zoom out, it's all upward sloping. It's a sign of big players entering positions, bidding it up as price continues higher. So best thing to do here is wait. We've just had the two big impulsive candles, and now we're moving into our first very tight consolidation. Ethereum might just keep pushing from here and do something entirely different where there's almost no pullback and boom, away it goes. If you're going to trade that, I would trade it very much from a short-term perspective. You might get some relatively easy trades here, where if Ethereum breaks out, you can actually see it just push higher. I'll show that example. This is much more of like a day trading approach, where if you go, we'll just get Ethereum and we'll look at this. We'll put on some volume profiles and look at some of the moves. So from all the way at top to bottom, you have your volume cluster in here. You have your value area at that level. So there's the zone that the vast majority of Ethereum's volume distribution in this decline has been. It's trying to break away from that. If it does, it actually breaks out and holds in there. That's when you can see it trend up. There's really not a lot of resistance above 3730 before it gets towards the highs. If you're looking at like levels near the highs there, levels near the top, you've got a breakdown order block in this area, which you can see here, right? That's where Ethereum consolidated, if you can see it. Let's take that off, sorry. There. Ethereum consolidated for a day, and that consolidation, that 1 day candle, led to the break of structure. See this low? That led to all of that breaking and shifting Ethereum bearish. That is where you'd expect the next bearish reaction, if there's going to be one. And that starts at 39.29. So if you're looking for Ethereum, I would say if it's able to hold above this level, the value area high, so VAH, if it holds above that, I could see it moving up into this 1 day order block. And so what I'd be looking at then would be lower time frame. I'll take away this red zone just to make it clearer. Looking on a lower time frame, something like a 1 hour chart. And what you're watching for there is really just Ethereum to continue. So if it makes highs and does a upward sloping on the 1 hour bands, and the 1 hour bands are holding, and it's pushing and it's getting above that value area high, and then it starts to break out, that's when you can see a momentum move into that area. That would be your low time frame trade. And what you're looking at on those low time frame ones is if it does start to slope upwards, what have we done there? If it does start to slope upwards, what you're looking at is the break away from that, right? The acceleration out of that. Because when it's doing this, that's just consolidation. When it accelerates out, when it breaks from the kind of sloping trend line, that's where you get your momentum move. So that would be your immediate continuation path, and then the other paths I mentioned are more of your swing trade approaches. So that's how I'd be looking at Ethereum. From what you can see on that value area high, you really don't want it to start losing 3,600. If it does, then you're looking at more chop and consolidation lower. So I see a path for Ethereum to continue right up. Remember momentum. Momentum is strong. When you break out and you have momentum, it tends to continue for longer than people think. I mean, think of it very simply. Anyone shorting this, they shorted that or shorted here, that's not safe. There's no signs of weakness here. Like there's literally no weakness on the low time frame yet. It hasn't even broken 1 hour interim low market structure. Like, it's strong. This is currently very strong. I would certainly not be shorting this. And so people who are shorting it probably going to get squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And we might even get a push towards 4K. It's also round number resistance 4K. And it's the daily order block. That could be where this push ends if it continues immediately. And then if not, there's your 3 paths that I'm looking at for more of a continuation over the next few days or weeks. I'll check the data on Ethereum as well. So ETH, let's look at 5-minute chart since we come up into the highs. So what's been happening? Massive uptick in open interest, as you'd expect. It's gone up from 1.9 million all the way up to 2.21 million. Is that in coins or dollars? It's in coins, right? Yeah, of course. Couldn't be 2 million. So that's 1.9 to 2.2. That is 300,000. 300,000. I'm going to have to actually get the calculator out here. That is a 1.1 billion? Yeah. 1.1 billion of fresh OI has been added to Ethereum since this move. Now, of course, remember, open interest is longs and shorts. Right? There has to be a long and a short. We saw big squeeze, big liquidations, and then a massive liquidation divergence. Notice as price went higher, liquidations really decreased. So that doesn't mean that there are not more to come, but that's why momentum slowed and we started to go sideways. You've seen funding rate obviously pick up. You've seen the spot premium disappear and flip to a perp premium. Again, that's expected when you get these type of moves. There's always people chasing. It doesn't mean it can't have immediate momentum. It could. It probably looks like, Ethereum probably looks right here as if it's going to have a crack at these highs. It's sort of trying to break this mini, not even downtrend, just break this sideways consolidation that it's in. So if Ethereum's able to push up here, form high lows, that's where you might see it go for a breakout. Now, will that breakout reject because so many people try to long it? If so, you're probably going to go back down. More chop, more consolidation. So keep an eye on those paths. And again, for trading it, how I would trade it is I would probably wait for either this to form, if it does form an upward sloping, or for it to break with volume and impulse. If it breaks way out, 38 to 38.50, and then you just see immediate continuation. You might just see this move go straight up. But if that happens, don't FOMO, because what goes up must come down. Ethereum is not going to keep going like that forever. It's going to eventually fall back, form some kind of consolidation, and then if it's bullish, it'll go again. So there's plans. Day trade, swing trades, boom, GM.